What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Mavs Film Room podcast, coming to you on Monday, March 2nd at 8:40 p.m. Central Time. It's the month of March for the Mavericks. Their season is almost over. It's not quite over just yet, but we're getting, towards the end of the season where
It was over when they lost to the Wizards the second game of the season after they got embarrassed opening night. Go ahead, sorry.
fair. No, you made a great point. The season has been over for a while now, but officially we are in the latter portion of the Mavericks season where draft positioning, player development, those are the things that matter the most right now. And Cooper Flag's eventual return, which will hopefully come in the next few games. A lot of things to discuss here in this episode. But guys, we'll get started here. How was your weekend? Fazl, we'll start with you.
My weekend was good. I went down to Houston just for one night and I did some stuff with my friends there. So, um, pretty good. Definitely tiring though, but good to be back here in Dallas talking about the Mavericks.
It's always great to be back in Dallas after being in Houston. I never realized this when I was a kid, but having been there a little bit more of late, you really see what Chandler Parsons said back in 2014 that Dallas is a much cleaner city than Houston is. So, uh, Vinay, how was your weekend, man?
My weekend was good. I actually ran into like a Mavs employee when I was out with a friend on Saturday, and we got to talking, and I found out she worked for the Mavs, and then I told her like a dumbass that I worked for Mavs Phone Room. The whole tone of the conversation changed completely.
Oh my god.
Uh,
You're not joking,
uh,
are you?
no, I'm not. I'm being 100% serious. I'm
Okay.
not going to say what department she works in or anything like that, but the rest of the night she was just rage baiting me about working for Mavs Film Room. She found the picture of Jay and I at the Luca suite saying like you guys aren't Mavs fans, you're Luca fans and stuff like that. Saying her tweets were too negative, which I don't know how else to react to
I
the
mean,
worst trade in
the
sports
Mavericks'
history.
performance this season has been too negative. Give us something to be positive about, and we will. Like,
I've been positive since the second loss that we took this season against the Wizards. This draft is amazing. We have a bright future to build around with Coop and all that. So, I mean, yeah, it was just an interesting interaction, I guess. I thought it was just funny because I mean that sentiment that we're not Mavericks fans, we're Luca fans, and we're too negative is definitely not just a Mavericks organization thing. Probably the reason why we don't get practice access anymore post trade. Very kind of them to invite Fossil and I for Coop's intro press conference, but I mean, you can't change, I guess, people's opinions on how they view you and all that. If the team sucks, we're gonna say, I guess it sucks. We don't even do it that bluntly, but I mean, we made the finals the last time we had Luca on the team, and we're about to have two. I mean, we have 2 straight years of missing the playoffs, so I'm not gonna be served poop and say it's chocolate.
I mean, yeah. Like, what do they want us to talk about? And do they expect us to move on? Like, I don't understand how the
I mean, I
Mavericks.
moved on. I mean, it's not like, the trade
I mean,
sucks,
we've moved
obviously. We
on.
got we got we got Coop, and now it's just about however this draft pick turns into. And if rooting for losses is deemed as negative, I disagree completely. Um,
I
I
I
mean, I still
think
think there's a super bright future. This kid Coop has surpassed anyone's expectations, I would think, even in year one, even though he's missed some games lately. Like the kid's special. He's one of those guys that any team would want to build around on like less than handful of names that you would take over him to build a franchise. And even some teams would take him over those handful of names if you're just starting for the next 10 to 15 years. So yeah, I mean, we're lucky we got Coop and it's not literally doomsday.
I mean it just bothers me a little bit because the Mavericks social media team has built their brand largely
I didn't
during the
say it
Luca
was I didn't
era.
say it was social media team.
Oh, okay, fine. I guess I took it the wrong way. But the Mavericks organization as a whole has built this international brand in large part because of Luka Doncic. And look, you could say that we should stop talking about the trade. I do think in large part we have stopped talking about the trade at this point. Like we have been pretty focused on Mavericks basketball over the last few months. Obviously, we got invited to this, to the Mavericks Lakers game, and they hosted us in the suite, and we're super grateful for that. But you know, don't act like when Luca comes back to town, employees of the Mavericks aren't going up and shaking his hand, giving him hugs, all kinds of stuff. And then they turn around and say that we're Luca fans and not Mavericks fans. It's very disingenuous. And like I said, we're too negative. Give us something to be positive about. I would love to be watching good basketball, relevant basketball in March. But instead, for the third time in 5 years, we're watching us play for ping pong balls and the draft lottery. So give us something to be positive about, and we'll be positive about it.
I mean, I think the fact that Patrick Dumont admitted that the Mavs fans haven't seen what they wanted to see, and that's why they're not raising ticket prices for next season, is pretty indicative of like how disappointed we all are. Even Vivek raised prices for the Kings next season, and the Kings are worse than the Mavs, like by far. So I don't know, man. There's like certain things that come with high expectations, and when you don't meet them, then you're going to get this result.
I mean, that whole thing
I
was
didn't.
hilarious too because they literally raised prices last year after the trade when the public sentiment around the team was rock bottom. And so, to do it again would have been even more tone deaf. So the fact that they're acting like this is some, you know, kind deed by them is hilarious to me. But Vinay, what were you going to say?
I didn't mean for this to be a whole ordeal. I apologize for
No, I
that,
mean,
but
I felt like I felt like I
it
had
was
to
it was
say
it was
something.
more it was more funny because I know, I know there's Twitter people that follow us that have that probably same opinion of us, and I couldn't disagree more. The biggest reason I'm was mad about the Luka trade and mad about the Luka trade is beyond just that he's fun to watch and all that. That's not even the biggest reason. The biggest reason is because I knew the basketball team would be much
Yeah.
worse without the guy on the team. And I'm a Mavericks fan since I really started following basketball and all that. That's the biggest thing. Like I want the team to be good. Shoot me.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I mean, look, like at the end of the day, the only reason why I felt like maybe we should respond to it or I felt strongly about it is just because I mean, I guess it kind of hurts when people with the Mavericks or if you get a sense that people in the Mavericks organization feel the way they do about us. Like like you said, we've been Mavericks fans since ever. Since, I went to my first Mavericks game probably in 2004 in a game against the Pistons. Like that's how long it's been. Like I've been watching this team
Damn.
religiously for 20 plus years. So, to say that I'm not a Mavericks fan it's a little bit offensive. But look, I'm not going to hold it against them. It's fine. At the end of the day, everyone will be happier when the team is playing winning basketball and playing meaningful basketball in the springtime because it's been a very long time since we've seen that happen with this team.
Amen, brother. Let's get to it.
Yeah, let's get to it. That was that. It's cool. At the end of the day, we've been cheering for the Mavericks. We've been cheering for these guys and cheering for no one harder than Chris Middleton, who is staying as a Dallas Maverick for the rest of the season, and potentially will be back next season too. It was reported, I guess, Saturday night that Chris Middleton was not going to pursue a buyout and will finish the season with the Mavericks. There's obviously a business reason for it in that he preserves his bird rights this season, which allows him to potentially make more than the minimum this summer with the Mavericks or with another team. Vinay, I'll start with you. What was your reaction hearing the news that Chris Middleton will remain with the Mavericks for the rest of the year?
I'm not gonna lie, like up until the deadline, like I know there was rumblings that he was thinking about staying, but I just thought like he was gonna get a buyout and sign with one of those contenders just because he's got a limited shelf life left as an NBA player, and I would think that he would want to compete for that. Maybe having the championship already with Milwaukee in 2020 helps the situation a little bit, but definitely happy. The only possible con to having him on the team is that he hurts the tank, but I think the schedule is too tough the rest of the way, anyways. And
I think he did a
he's just
great
a good
job
vet.
last night of tanking.
Well, the OKC would have beat any of us if we had like Shea and the three of us on the court, honestly. But um, Chris is a good vet. I'm thinking he'll be back now because he's staying for the rest of this season. I think Cam Boozer could obviously use a great vet like Chris Middleton, so that'll be interesting and fun to see next year. So I'm hyped about it. We have a great vet leadership group with Kyrie, Clay, and Chris. We've talked on and on about how Clay's been as a mentor. Obviously, Kyrie has done wonders for the locker room too, even though it doesn't necessarily show up in wins. I feel like just all those guys' leadership and vet experience is super, super valuable. So I don't think there's
there's really no negatives to this.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, he's a good vet to have around. The Mavericks have a desperate need for shooting this year and next year as well. I think he helps fill that need. And with Klay Thompson, Kyrie Irving, Chris Middleton, I don't know if all three of those guys will be around next year, but it's a good group of vets to have to mentor Cooper Flag, and hopefully Cam Boozer, Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonsa. We know how impactful veterans can be on young players' careers. Falzo, you have any thoughts on the news of Chris Middleton staying?
The only reason why I would have been opposed to him staying versus, just waving by him out and letting him go to another team is just because it would have opened up an extra slot to sign, I guess, Musa Cisse to a regular contract, kind of like what Ryan Nembhard got after we waived Tyus Jones. But um, still, I mean, I think on the whole, it's a much better thing to have Chris here, like as you guys have explained. And even if he's back next season, I do think he has something left in the tank, and I'd love to see him, play meaningful minutes for the Mavericks. But yeah, I guess from now till the end of the season, it'll be nice to watch somebody more competent on the floor at times because it's not exactly like he's going to add 5 wins to this team or whatever, but just in terms of seeing a better product out there, I'm always happy to see that for the Mavs.
Yeah, I mean, he is an archetype of a player that they have needed all season. I mean, obviously, at this point, it's too late, but he's 34 years old. I think he is definitely in the last few years of his career, but I don't think he's done by any stretch of the imagination. I think he can still contribute, whether it's with the Mavs or whether it's with another team. But I've always been a fan of his game. I think we've heard a lot of good things about him as a teammate and a person. So it's always good to have a guy like that in your organization. And they have his bird rights now, so they can bring him back without too much disruption to their salary cap sheet. But I don't know if there's a ton to discuss with him, but that's kind of my thoughts on it.
We think he's going to be back next year, right? If he's staying for the rest of this year.
I don't know. Like I said, the bird rights are really the main thing. Like, he could get signed and traded to another team, but I don't know. All the teams that might want him, like Denver, for example, was interested in him, according to Mark Stein, but they probably would not be in position to sign and trade for him. So I don't know. I think there's a decent chance that he would remain with the Mavericks, especially if Jason Kidd is still the coach. I mean, it's a guy he has some familiarity with as well.
Denver thought they were getting them. They can now enjoy Tyus Jones.
I completely missed that news too. I saw it 3 hours after Shams tweeted it. I didn't think the Tyus Jones era would be so short lived in Dallas.
Like, there's really not much of a difference between him and Nembhard functionally for what the Mavs are trying to do right now. So, like, yeah, Tyus had some okay minutes for the Mavs, but he is nothing. Well, I hope he plays better on a vet team that's trying to compete with Denver. That's all I can say. And historically, I don't know if that's the case with him, if he's gonna live up to those expectations, but at least he has the chance to try now, which is much more than he could say for himself, like earlier on in the season, playing for like an always injured Magic team, or was he the Magic, right?
Yeah,
Or
the
the
Magic.
Mavs and whatnot. So yeah, though speaking about Chris Middleton and his bird rights, I don't know because like if you sign and trade him, aren't both teams then stuck to being capped out of the first apron? They can't go over that, so it's a little tougher trying to build a team that way. Uh, I mean, I don't think that's much of a big deal for the Mavs because obviously we're not going to be exactly be competing next year in all likelihood. Having his bird rights though, like yeah, technically you can go over the cap to sign him, but you also have his cap hold on the books, and he has a huge contract this year. So like, I don't even know if we like keep his bird rights beyond signing and trading him. Like, if a few days goes by and he's still like out there in free agency, we might just waive his cap hold just to like sign more players. I'm not sure. But I guess it's better to have them than to like not have them and be stuck on day one of free agency. So I guess from that perspective, I can see it. Um, then again, he's like you guys said, he's a role player in the last few years of his career. So like I don't think there's anything really moving the needle too drastically.
Yeah, I mean, on the note of sign and trades, I don't know if both teams get hard capped, but I think if both teams receive a player, like if the Mavericks were to receive a player in a sign and trade, then I think they would be hard capped. I don't know. At this point, the CBA is beyond my abilities of understanding, but
Yeah,
definitely the team that receives Chris Middleton would be hard capped at the first apron.
right. That makes sense. Like how we got hard capped with Clay.
Exactly. So, I mean, yeah, you raise a good point about the cap hold with Chris Middleton. Like his current salary I think is 34 million, and so his cap hold will be slightly above that, which would clog up the Mavericks cap sheet. But in this day and age, free agency is not really a vehicle for where you build teams, and so I think the majority of the team building the Mavericks do this summer is going to be through the draft, obviously, and through the trade market. And then if they sign someone, it'll likely be for one of the exceptions or the minimum. And I think that's what's got to be figured out: is can you keep Chris Middleton on the books and still have access to the full mid-level exception, for example. So I think there's a lot more cap considerations that will have to be made as we get closer to the summer, but I'm not prepared to discuss that further just because I haven't really looked at it. But I do know that the Mavericks got around. Actually, I don't know. Never mind. They got a lot of expiring salary back in the Anthony Davis trade, and they reduced their payroll significantly. So that's the main takeaway from it. But we'll dive into the cap specifics later on. But I think you guys also mentioned an important point too. Like Ryan Nembhard was converted to a standard NBA contract, and that contract will keep him on the team for the rest of this season as well as next season. I think that's well deserved for him. I mean, he's had a better rookie season than I think anyone could have ever imagined coming into this season as an undrafted free agent. I think after like that insane start to his career that he had back in December, he's kind of come back down to earth, but he's still a nice piece to have. And, he hadn't played since February 5th, so it was nice to see him, finally be able to play because he's not subject to the two-way restriction. But your guys' reaction to Ryan Nembhard getting converted to a standard deal with the Mavs?
Woohoo! Honestly, like the beginning of Nemhard's Mavs tenure, I was definitely like, I mean, he flashed and honestly won us some games there. But now, like, just like the whole size thing is just tough, and that's honestly why he went undrafted. And as great as he is at playmaking and all that stuff, like, I feel like he's just kind of resigned to like a third point guard type of role where if the Mavs have injuries or something like that, he can be used to step in. But if they're going in the next season and he's the backup point guard, I would have some concerns, especially with, Kyrie's probably not going to play all 82 games. They might manage his knee and all that kind of stuff. So, um, I mean, good for him. I'm happy for him. I mean, going from undrafted to getting an NBA contract is a big deal, and he's definitely got some skills and stuff like that. But um, I just, I hate to put a ceiling on the guy in his first years in an NBA. But small guards are just, I mean, there's small guards and then there's Ryan Nembhard. With all due respect, so. It's just tough for him to kind of break through that barrier because teams are always going to hunt him defensively when he's on the court, and yeah.
I think it kind of became pretty clear, like after the first maybe month of Ryan Nembhard's career playing real minutes, that the size was a big limitation. And I think that's, like you said, the reason why he went undrafted, other than the fact that, he and his agent probably were trying to orchestrate that situation. But, he had a great college career. He led the nation in assists. Like, he can obviously play, but the issue is in the NBA, small guards just tend to struggle to stay on the floor. And I don't think he's any exception to that rule. Just defensively or even offensively, he's not always able to get his shot off from three. And I think for a Mavericks guard, that's going to be an important skill. And so I agree with you. I think he's a good player to have on your roster. But if he's the backup point guard next year, we'll have some serious problems.
Sorry if that was too negative, Mavs organization.
Yeah, so I mean, I think he caps out honestly on this team as like a JJ Barea type player at his very best. That's probably what he could be. Um,
No
it's kind of
chance. No
yeah,
Oh,
chance.
yeah,
speaking
no
of
JJ
chance.
Barea JJ Barea impacted the finals with the scoring. If sit down. If Ryan Nemhard could do that, then I would be astonished, honestly. But Yeah, sorry to cut you off and for being a prick.
No, you're good. I was just saying like that's in the future, maybe that could be what he caps out as, but like right now, I think Jay touched and I like, I think he has NBA caliber playmaking skills, which as a rookie, that's amazing. He could probably be like a third string point guard next season, and I wouldn't be too concerned. But if he's the backup, yeah, I've serious qualms about that because like you guys said, after his first month or so of like actual games, we had some great offensive performances from him, especially versus the Nuggets, where he fried everybody's faces off, namely Jokic. But once the that kind of fluky 3-point shooting and scoring touch kind of faded away, then reality set in, and it's not quite ready for NBA game action yet. Like it's going to take him probably a little while to get to that point. He has like, I mean, he has NBA level playmaking, but without a shot, without scoring, like it's really hard to unlock that kind of skill set. So this isn't like, 2008 or whatever anymore. You kind of have to be really complete as a player to make it work, especially if you're a small guard. So he has quite a bit of development left to go before he actually becomes like a legit considerable player for a contending team. So I don't know, like again, the Mavs aren't exactly contending for much this year or probably next year. So it's fine to give him minutes, but the second like they start to make moves to be more all in or compete, like uh, I'm not sure if he has a place on the team though. So yeah, it's a little bit awkward, but maybe not right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think like for the Mavericks in the position they're in right now, like they do need quality young talent, and I think Nemhard counts as a quality young talent. Like I don't know if JJ Barea is even remotely, I don't know, a realm of possibility for Nemhard. I think like Vinay said, you know, JJ Barea impacted the finals, and so Ryan Nemhard has a long way to go until then. At the same time, though, I think Ryan Nemhard's ceiling is a solid third string, maybe backup point guard in the NBA, which is not bad. I think he has a place in the league. It's just how much is he going to play? I don't know. But for now, with this season, getting looks at young talent, I think Nemhard obviously has a place. But we'll see what happens next year. But I agree. Like, from your point guard, especially in the way the league is moving now, it's moving towards bigger guards, more skilled guards. This archetype of an undersized guard, especially one that can't or isn't like a willing shooter necessarily, is a tough one. If he suddenly becomes like this 3-point sniper that can pull up from like 28, 29, 30 feet, then we might be talking differently about him. But until then, it's tough to see him staying on the floor to really meaningfully impact games like JJ Barea did.
If the Mavs don't move up in the lottery, there's a strong chance there's going to be all sorts of small guard discourse with guys like Darius Acuff and Kingston Flemings, and then 29 Tyler Tanner from Vanderbilt. So I'm curious how the whole point guard depth is going to shake out going into next season because I mean there's still a lot of floating variables in there. It wasn't like the Mavericks signed Ryan Nembhard to be the future point guard in the starting lineup every day. So, but I am happy for him. As I didn't mean to
Yeah,
sound
yeah.
super pessimistic and all that. But sorry, Maps organization. But this might be a new bit. Um, yeah, I'm happy for Ryan Hemward.
I mean, yeah, it's hard not to be happy for him. At the end of the
The
day,
reps,
he earned it.
the reps, the rest of the season will be great, and I'm not even going to say that he's going to contribute to the losses and all that stuff. But I just want to see him get good reps out there and get valuable experience. There's going to be some teams out there that might throw some bigger wings on him. That's going to be something he has to adjust to. Um, so it'll be interesting rest of the season, I guess.
Yeah, it will be. Hopefully, he can discover a new part of his game where he has to be more aggressive scoring the ball, kind of like he did in the first few games of his career. Now, obviously, the defenses have learned to hone in on him and exploit his size. But again, not to be too negative, congrats, Ryan Nemhard. He earned it, no doubt. And let's see what he can do the rest of this season. Mavs organization, hopefully that was positive enough for you. Um, Look, Cooper Flag hopefully will come back in the next few games. I think his Rookie of the Year campaign has been a little bit tried and tested over these last couple of weeks since he's missed with the foot sprain. Vinay, why do you still think that he's a Rookie of the Year, even though he hasn't played in a few weeks at this point.
Short answer, he's been the best rookie in the NBA this year. Just look at the stats. The advanced analytics aren't necessarily kind to Coop, but I love analytics and all that, but it's definitely very like team context dependent. And if you even pull up the analytics for like Khan versus Coop and all that, like Khan's has a negative plus minus when LaMelo Ball is on the in the co- on the in on the court. So I mean, it's close. I mean, Khan's definitely putting up a case. He has ridiculous shooting efficiency. I think he leads the NBA in three pointers, which is crazy. But I mean, in the games Coop has played, and it's not like he's missed like half the season. It's just like this recent stretch that he's missed, maybe a game or two before that. But he's just so versatile in everything he does, and passing, rebounding, defense. Like, I think it's like no brainer personally. If the season ended today, like they don't use games played as a requirement for Rookie of the Year, so it shouldn't be used against him in that facet. I mean, beginning of the season, it's not something I guess that should be used for his case, but he was playing. I mean, think about it. He was playing point guard with two bigs on the court against the Spurs on opening day. Like that's just ridiculous. Like context. If you just separate the individual, which is what Rookie of the Year is, I don't see how there's an argument for another player. And I understand what Khan is doing and all that, but you could throw the team win-loss records out in Rookie of the Year. That's ridiculous. Throw the on-off splits for Rookie of the Year too. That's also ridiculous to me.
I mean, this guy had a 49-point game. He was literally 1 point away from having 50 points, which doesn't get done very often by rookies. Brandon Jennings is one of the few rookies that had a 50-plus point game in their rookie season. And obviously he didn't win Rookie of the Year, so maybe not the best example, but that is...
I honestly feel like some of it is fatigue, not fatigue, but like amnesia over how good Coop has been because it's been like over 3 weeks since we've seen him in an NBA game. But
Yeah.
I mean, come on,
I
you
mean,
just watch the games.
There was already that narrative sort of developing, like even before the injury, that it could go either way between Con Knipple and Cooper Flag. But just pull up the tape from that Hornets Mavericks game where Cooper Flag and Con Knipple went at it, but Cooper was the star of that game, the best player on the floor among both teams. Better than Con in that game too. I think if you want to create a narrative, that's where you should start, is that game. And I think Coop has been the best rookie this year. People have forgotten just because he hasn't played in a while, but he was killing it before he got hurt, which is why that injury was just so unfortunate because, I mean, he was really developing into a superstar at that point. Like, we talk about Luka's, rise from his first season to his second season and what that did for the Mavericks team's success. I'm not saying that that's going to happen with the Mavericks if Cooper improves that way, because obviously it's a different time now, et cetera, et cetera. But I do believe that Cooper Flag can make that kind of jump between this season and next season to where he is undoubtedly the best player on the team. He's an all-star level player contending for all NBA. Is that too far-fetched to expect out of him next season?
No, I think he could be a top 15 player. I don't know. I mean, the Luka jump is insane because he went from Rookie of the Year to first team All NBA. That's just like that's ridiculous. I don't know if that's going to
I
happen
don't know
again.
if that's going to happen either. But
Wemby might be. No, Wemby didn't make it. So I mean, I don't know when that's going to happen again next. So, I think he can make an All NBA team next year. But a lot of times it's based on like tiebreakers are like based on team win loss record. So I guess it somewhat depends on how good the Mavericks will be. But I mean, I think his game is going to take another level simply by having Kyrie on the court. And I feel like that meshing on both ends, on offense specifically, is going to be awesome for Coop because he's been the main ball handler, the main shot creator for some of these Mavericks games, and that was not the expectation going into this season, like at all. Like at some point, we thought we were going to get Kyrie back. We had Anthony Davis, who's supposed to do his LaMarcus Aldridge impersonation here and there. He couldn't even do that. So I think it'll be a much better basketball context. And honestly, I think I've said this before. Like as bad as I want Coop to win Rookie of the Year, like it's not going to like put me into basketball 9/11 like sadness if he doesn't win it. You know what I mean? Like we have the best rookie in the draft class. That's clear as day for anyone that knows the sport. So, and he surpassed the loftiest of expectations. Like people had expectations for him for sure. I mean, he was built as a generational type of prospect and all that, but he's surpassed all those expectations. He's way ahead of schedule on offense compared to what people thought he was going to be. His defense is, been as advertised. I think he can be better on that end than he's shown, honestly. So As bad as I want the hardware and it'd be cool to have Rookie of the Year and all that, like it's not gonna ruin my day.
Yeah, I mean,
But he should win Rookie of the Year
he
if it
should.
ended today. But he's also gonna come back soon. I think he'll come back this week against the Celtics, is my guess. So we
We
have
think
time
Ja-
to get
do
back.
we think
We have
Jason
time to get.
Tatum is going to come back in that game?
I don't know. Bill Simmons said that, but he was also wrong about the first time Jason Tatum was coming back. So I don't know. I mean, but it would make sense. I mean, why wouldn't you want like a YMCA type of game to get back flowing into the season? Sorry, that was too negative, Mavs organization.
Fazla, your thoughts on Cooper Flagg's Rookie of the Year chances?
I think he's, I mean, I don't know what the betting odds are at the current moment, but if I had to like guess just off my pure gut feeling, I think he's favored. I think he deserves to be Rookie of the Year. I think he's clearly the best rookie in the class. But I guess whatever things happen, Khan is, of course, he's clearly the second best player in the class. I think he is very close to the level that Coop's on, like at this current moment. I just think there's a slight edge for Coop, and of course, he's the higher pedigree as the number one overall pick. I don't think there are that many antagonistic voters that are like, oh no, this guy's not living up to expectations. We got to ding him in favor of his, college teammate, whatever, who's way exceeding those expectations. And, good on Khan for that. But no, I just think that a lot of times NBA voters are kind of, they just go with the flow. Um, and I'm not sure if this race is going to be an exception. That being said, though, I'm not really, yeah, Rookie of the Year doesn't really like phase me that much. I found that the discussion you guys are having directly after that much more interesting in terms of like what I think Coop's going to be next year. I think okay, so part of Luca getting those all NBA first team selections was a little like because of what injuries, right? In some seasons, like earlier on with Steph, maybe if I'm not mistaken,
Mm-hmm.
and then also because weren't the NBA teams like position locked back then, and now they're positionless. So when it's positionless, it's a lot harder to get on an All NBA first team if you're not one of the best players. I do think though that Coop's going to be fighting pretty hard for third team. I think that's my personal guess. I think he has a really solid shot of getting there, and that would be amazing for us to have a top 15 player in the sport. He's going to be an all-star for sure, in my opinion, barring injury. So I'm very excited about year two Coop. I think he's going to add a bunch to his game. If we thought he looked great this season, then, just wait for next season. It's going to be amazing. So um, lots to be excited about with him, naturally.
You raised a good point about the All NBA teams, which I honestly had forgotten about, but I realize that the NBA has become just woker and woker over the years to where, the All NBA teams are positionless now, which makes it very difficult for players to get that spot. And obviously, like you said, you made a good point as well. Steph Curry was injured for pretty much the entirety of the 2019-20 season when Luka made first team All NBA. Not to say that Luka wasn't deserving of it, but he did have some factors that helped him out in that. So we'll see. I mean, I think if Cooper is an All NBA player, period, next season, that would represent a huge step forward for him in his development. But Cooper is doing this without really having like a reliable 3-point shot, and I do expect that aspect of his game to get better over the offseason and into next year. And just like Coop with let's even say a 33-34% three ball, that's probably going to be a guy who can average close to 30 points a game. Am I wrong about that, Vinay?
No, I mean, if you have the 3-point shooting leap, for sure, that's not crazy to think. I don't know what I'm not even necessarily expecting a certain number for the 3-point shooting, but I mean, I expect them to have more spacing next year with hopefully better shooters. If you get lucky in the lottery, you can get someone that can like help Coop's game get better, just like with their passing, if it's a certain type of point guard or boozer, or even on defense, like having one of those guys that can impact the game on that end. Coop's defense can honestly. I had super lofty expectations for Coop's defense, so I would say like he's probably a little bit below expectations for me on that end. But I think he can get to that level if the Mavericks have requisite like POA defense. Like that's something that they've missed all year. That they've, I mean, The former GM wanted to build a team on defense to win a championship, but I don't even think he built a good defense when everyone was healthy because I don't think they had like the right guy that could stop the ball from getting into the paint. And as great as Coop is on help side and all that stuff, you still need some resistance. So you improve the team around him and on both ends, get more shooters on offense, get better defenders on defense, then he can improve. And I don't know. I mean, I think he could play at a second team All NBA level. I don't know if he necessarily will get it because I don't think the Mavs will have that type of record, and some other guys might get it over him. But I think he could be that good.
Oh, without a doubt. But I think we already acquired our point of attack defender and 3-point marksman for next season.
I will
Yes.
fly to San Diego and slap you if you say the name.
Who do you think I'm going to say?
I thought you were going to say Caleb Martin.
Oh, no. I was going to say AJ Johnson and John Poulikitis.
You somehow went worse.
Yeah, I did go worse. Side note, I'm interested in seeing what John Poulikitis could do. I don't expect him to ever become anything in the league, but it just takes me back to like 2017, 2018 when we weren't really playing for anything at the end of the year, and we had a bunch of random dudes just trying to see what they could do. I guess that's the phase of the season we're in. Can John Poulikitis, Ryan Nembhard, Tyler Smith, could they do anything to solidify their position in the league? I don't know. We'll see. I just realized that John Poulikitis played for the San Diego Clippers, and I could have gotten a head start scouting him, but alas, maybe we'll see him tomorrow night.
It's cool that he can shoot.
Yeah.
It's cool he can shoot the ball, and I have nothing to add on Tyler Smith besides, the only Tyler Smith I know is the left guard for the Dallas Cowboys. So
Yeah.
don't have much on Tyler Smith either. But cool name that John has. I'll let you pronounce the last name. I'm not going to butcher it here on this show. And he also got the nice honor of sitting next to Cuban courtside in that seat that Coop was sitting in first half, but they gave it to John. You say his last name for me.
Poulikitis.
So yeah, good for him on that. And I'm excited to see what he can show. This team obviously desperately needs shooting. Miles Kelly was thought to be that when they signed him as a two-way after the draft, but he just kind of didn't show enough in that area. And wish him well on his ventures. I thought he had a fun summer league, but the NBA is a cutthroat league, so that is what it is.
Yeah, he's an example of a guy that like you think could have a future in the league, and then the games are actually played, and you realize like how tough it is to stick around in the NBA. Because not that he had like an amazing summer league or anything, but you saw like how his skill set could potentially translate to the NBA, and here we are. The season's not even over, and he's no longer on the team. So, like you said, wish him well. Maybe he'll stick around somewhere else, but I guess we're on to Tyler Smith and John Poulikitis. But enough about them. Unless Fazal, you got something. I just said Poulikitis.
I was just gonna say the only thing I ever heard about Tyler Smith was like he was supposed to be a really good prospect coming into the NBA. I mean, there's a lot of hype around him, and then he ended up being an early second round draft pick. He played a little bit for the Bucks. He didn't really do much for them, so he's kind of low key on the way to like washing out of the league until he signed with the Mavs. But we'll see. Like, I'm not gonna pretend like I know much about him either. But just what you were saying about like being transported back to a few years ago with all these random names like that you never even heard of until they signed with the team is just it's funny. It reminds me of the days of like Nico Bursino and Gerard Utoff and Kyle Collinsworth and those guys, which is, I mean, we were in the finals 2 years ago, man. Like, what are we doing here?
I can name some others: Jonathan Motley, Aaron Harrison. I feel like there's another white guy that I'm forgetting, but man, those are some dog days, man. Like that's kind of where we're at right now. I think that this rebuild is going to have to be faster than that one was, although that was a pretty fast rebuild too. But I think this is hopefully the last year where it's going to be like we have to try out these like random names and see what they can do. Because next year, like, I don't know if the Mavericks are going to be competing for a top 6 seed in the playoffs, but I don't think that they're going to be this bad next year. I think they'll be competing for the play-in, which means that they're going to be trying to win games at this part of the season at least.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think these days would be dog days. It just feels like Cooper hasn't played in like a year almost, just because of the 3 weeks and the All Star break and all that. So, I mean, even the rest of the season, like, there's not necessarily a ton to look forward to. But as soon as Coop comes back, that's all you need to look forward to is how he develops the rest of the way. If he can really solidify the Rookie of the Year case, and then see what the lottery balls look like in May. So, I guess the next 3 months are pretty pivotal, I would say, in that regard.
Very pivotal, man. And I mean, the draft lottery again is like 2 months away. Like it was May 11th of last year, so I don't know what the date of it is this year, but if it's around that time, like we're what 9 weeks away from the draft lottery. It's a lot closer than people think. The Mavericks' future will have some sort of resolution here in the next 2 months or so, which is exciting but also scary. And that kind of takes us to our last topic, which is how high can the Mavericks finish in the draft order? Because right now they're what, seventh, right? And they got
Hmm.
New Orleans and Utah right above them. The other teams ahead of them are like Brooklyn, Indiana, Washington, and one more team.
Sacramento.
Sacramento. It might be difficult to catch those guys in the top four of the odds, but New Orleans and Utah, I think, are catchable. New Orleans especially because they've been playing a little bit better of late. Zion Williamson, I think, was on ESPN today and said that he's going to return against the Lakers later this week. So they're trying to win. Obviously, they don't own their draft pick. It's going to the Hawks, so they have every incentive to try and win games. But how high do you guys think the Mavericks can finish in the draft order? Personally, I think 6 is their ceiling, but curious to get you guys' thoughts.
Yeah, I think it'll be sixth, and I'm pumped about that. I mean, on the last podcast, I was scared a little bit because they just won games against Indiana and Brooklyn, and they weren't necessarily going all out in their tanking. Now I kind of feel like, that Grizzlies game and then the game before the Grizzlies won. Who'd they lose to before the Grizzlies?
Sacramento, I think.
Oh yeah, Sacramento. Like
Yeah.
those two games were huge. Like it swung, especially that Grizzlies game because they're right behind you, and now you kind of built up a little bit of cushion before you start one of the hardest schedules remaining in the NBA. So I'm happy that the Mavericks decided to go that route. Maybe I was texting Jade that I think Jason Kidd just wanted the wins against Rick Carlisle, and then his 200th win versus his former team in the Nets, and maybe that's all it was. And now it's back to business. But the schedule is brutal the rest of the way. There's going to be a lot of losses, I would think, this season or this month. Um, Maybe Coop can win you a game here or there, and that'll be. I mean, I want them to lose every game, but I also don't want them to lose every game because I feel like it would be depressing
I
for the
mean,
players.
if Coop wins you some games, you live with the result. Like I'm not gonna be mad
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, so I think New Orleans will catch and pass. I don't know when, but I think we'll surpass them just because, like you said, they don't have incentive to keep their pick. But getting to sixth is big. So I mean, if you get to sixth, then you have a 37% chance at top four, and then right now it's 32% at seven. So just do that, and then let Rolando Blackman do his thing and go to work from there.
Yeah, if they can get into the top 6, I think they'll be in great shape because then even if the lottery just shapes out exactly how the order is, you're in position to get someone in the group of AJ, Darren, Cam Boozer, Caleb Wilson, Michael Brown, Keaton Wagler, or Kingston Flemings. Like that's a very solid group of players to pick from. And so top 6, I think would be great. Top 7, I think you can still get a guy, but I do think that there's a significant gap between someone like Kingston Flemings and Keaton Wagler, let's say. Like Kingston Flemings, I think you can see how he translates a little bit clearer than you can see with a guy like Wagler. But in any case, 7 is the absolute floor. If they fall out of the top 7, then it's a little bit, I'm not going to say depressing, but it's not as exciting when it comes to this draft that has tons of talent in it.
I need a top four jump because I can't handle any more Darius Acuff discourse on Twitter. I just jump into the top four and I'm all good. I don't want to hear any more about it. Because if we go to like 7 or 8, there's just going to be all out civil war on Mavs Twitter. about who they should take and all that. And I mean, obviously, I have my preferences, but I've already tired of that discourse, and the college season hasn't even ended yet.
Shades of the great Andre Drummond Civil War of 2019.
Not quite to that level, but we are trending. We are trending towards that territory for sure.
Fossil, what are your thoughts on the lottery? How high do you think the Mavericks can finish?
Um, I think we're capped at the sixth best odds, which is pretty good for sure. Like if you told me that at the beginning of the season, um, that everything would go down like this and we'd have a chance at a top player in this draft, this absolutely stacked draft, like yeah, I'd be feeling great about that. So yeah, I can't really be too mad. Even when we were 5-15 and basically like close to the worst record in the league. If you told me it would have improved a little beyond that point, yeah, I'd be a tad annoyed because, we didn't 100% commit to the tank earlier, but it's okay. I mean, Coop won us a lot of these games, and again, you can't really be mad when that happens. I do agree that the Pelicans are probably going to catch us, or at least I'd hope they catch us, considering now they're trying to like win all out, and they got DeJounte Murray back. The only team who's remotely close to catching us beyond them is the Jazz, and I don't think that's going to happen. They have all their best players out for this season, and Markkanen is technically not out for the season, but he's out for an extended period of time. So they're just stuck playing all their young players, and then frankly, some nobodies on top of that. So like, I don't see it. I'd love to be proven wrong. In theory, like maybe there's a small chance the Mavs have the fifth best odds at the end of the season, but I just don't see it. Still though, sixth is okay, especially if we stay there. Like getting the sixth pick in this class is really good. If we drop by any chance, if one of these other teams like jumps us, that's like, yeah, I wouldn't be as happy about that. And of course, if we have the sixth best odds, that's also a great chance to like jump up into the top three, top four. So yeah, I feel at this point in time, I feel good about how things are going.
Yeah, I mean, those losses against the Kings and the Grizzlies were huge because I think we were all convinced that they were going to win those games. And the fact that they didn't gave me like a new hope that we might be able to get a top 6 draft pick this year, which would I can't overstate how transformative that would be for the future of this team. To have a guy to pair with Cooper Flag and grow together, like that's what you need in today's league. And if somehow, some way, they could get up there and get Cam Boozer or Darren Peterson or AJ DeBonsa, like good luck to the rest of the league, man. But one thing at a time. Let's focus on not getting below 7 and hopefully getting up to 6.
Honestly, with how the lottery odds nowadays are in Adam Silver's wonderful league he's created, if you finish at 6, you're more likely to drop down and go to seventh. So like, I mean, if the Mavericks finish sixth, their most likely pick is seventh, just because Adam Silver's done a terrific job with the NBA and how he's done everything.
But why do you say that with this? Oh, because like the odds are flattened and now like
Yeah,
5
yeah,
could
yeah.
jump up. Yeah, I mean that's true. I
But
mean,
I don't. I want to change my mind off of this, but I feel like we're gonna jump into the top four. But I say I want to change my mind off of that because I might be a jinx. But I, for some reason, just think we're gonna get into the top four again, and not necessarily pick at one again. But I mean, shoot, if you get top four, I think those top four guys are all franchise changers, Caleb Wilson included.
yeah.
I know people have kind of forgotten about him since he's been hurt lately, but I think that guy's a stud. And there's spacing concerns with Caleb Lively and Coop and all that. That's all cool. But I think they would still be a sick front court defensively, especially.
Yeah, I mean, if somehow, some way you can get up there, like you're set. Because any of those 4 guys would be great. I like Caleb Wilson. It sucks that he broke his hand, but he was playing really well until then, and I think that he's a very unique talent in his own right. And obviously, like there's some bigger changes that are going to happen this summer with PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford potentially getting traded away. So some of those spacing concerns can be alleviated a bit. But like I said, we got to get there first. But hopefully, man, fingers crossed. And maybe your sources at Ernst and Young are telling you this, that the Mavericks are jumping up into the top 4. But we'll see. Man.
I'm cool with anything in the top, just staying like that top 7. I still like Wagler a lot, even though he's had some people have kind of faded him, I feel like, lately because of the athleticism and strength concerns, but I would still be pumped with with getting him because of his shot making that this team sorely needs. And um, yeah, I just don't want to fall back in the Darius Akoff discourse. I can't do any more of. Like I said, hope the best for the kid, but I just don't want to deal with it for the month. I mean, think about last year, like the lottery. After we won the lottery, it was like bam, shebang. Cooper Flag's going to be the first pick, and there's nothing to really discuss. That's the only guy we had to look at for scouting reports and all that. But no matter where we fall into the lottery this year, like honestly, like there's going to be a debate. Maybe besides that number three, but anywhere else that they land in the lottery, there's going to be a contentious debate on Twitter and all that. Maybe even amongst us about who they should take with their pick. So
But that
it's
just
not going to
goes
be
to
as
show
easy as it
you
was last year,
how deep this class is. And yeah,
for
obviously,
sure.
yeah. How low would the Mavericks have to fall in the lottery for you to entertain trading the pick, or do you think they should just, pick a player no matter where they land?
Like trading the pick for a player, or like trading back and stuff like that.
Either way.
For me personally, if they get like 8, I'd probably trade back basically no matter what. If you get, but some people are gonna have the tiers differently. Some people have Darius Acuff top 7, and they like all 8 of those guys, so they would just want to stay. But for me, I honestly think I like Braden Burries the most at 8, but that might be too rich, but it also might not be depending on how March Madness goes. But I would probably trade back because I just think that from 8 to like I don't know 22 is a super deep range, and it's like I feel like there's a drop off. But I mean, there's also still a lot of college basketball left to be played that these things can change.
Yeah, I think the tournament will potentially sort out some of these debates like we're talking about. Like Wagler might fall out of the top 7 and Acuff might rise into the top 7. Like we don't know. And I think some of those questions will be answered by the tournament. But I do agree that the top 4 is pretty set at this point. The only questions are who's going 2 and who's going 3. And maybe could someone like, I don't know, Michael Brown overtake Caleb Wilson on the big board? Like that's probably another question as well. But
If you're a Mavs fan, you want to root for Nate Ament to finish the season strong, and one of those teams that already has like their point guard of the future, like the Jazz have their point guard, the Wizards have their point guard, to where they maybe get enamored with Nate Ament, and then you get to choose between better players. Where if the Mavs don't move up in the lottery, but I mean, yeah, there's a ton of variables floating around with this draft and lottery and all that stuff still yet to be played out.
yeah, it's very fascinating. I mean, this is a super exciting draft, but like I said, the flip side of that is it's scary because we're talking ourselves into getting a top 4 pick, but Lord forbid that we like move down a spot or move down a couple spots. That's gonna fucking suck, man. I just hope that that's not us because
It
this
would
is
suck, but
yeah.
yeah, I mean, but shoot, you still have to. I mean, you still have to trust your scouting and all that. And if
Oh
they're
yeah,
not trustworthy enough to get it done, then find new ones. But I mean, I wouldn't be happy if they dropped, obviously, but Riccardi can still deliver, or whoever's making the pick. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, that's a whole other thing that we got to talk about too, but that might be for another day. But look, I think we hit on all the big points. Did we miss anything, guys?
I don't think we missed anything, but I just had a question for you two because I wasn't able to listen to you guys' episode with Muhammad. I was a little busy, but just like on the topic of the big three in this class, like who do you guys think is Darren Peterson still the consensus number one? I know, like I've been following the themes of this college basketball season broadly speaking, and like there's been a lot that's been said about Peterson with his injury issues and like supposedly being checked out of games mentally. But like, I don't know, man. It's as somebody who's like 99% an NBA guy, like some of these college subplot dramas don't really interest me because I think at some level when you're doing prospect evaluation, you have to like consider, okay, the NBA and college, two totally different environments. NBA teams probably don't care as much about like whatever drama goes on unless it's like some serious red flags being raised. But yeah, I just wanted to hear what you guys thought because you obviously have a much more informed view.
By you, I think you mean Vinay, because I also don't really watch a ton of college basketball either. Um, so yeah, I'll let Vinay take that one because he knows best.
Well, I personally think Peterson's still the best prospect, but I do think that NBA teams are going to favor AJ DeBonsa over him at this point. Maybe some teams will take Peterson, but if I were to guess on who the number one pick is on most teams' boards, it would probably be AJ. I think he's third personally. I think Boozer's even better than him, but I feel like Boozer's getting knocked because of the athleticism concerns. But I think he's just going to walk in and help a team on both ends immediately, especially on offense. I think he's going to make his teammates a lot better. But if I were to guess, I would think the NBA has AJ number one, then maybe Peterson, and then Boozer. But I could see like if the Pacers got the first pick, them wanting to pair Halliburton and Peterson together in the backcourt, which would just be ridiculous if that happened. And I hope that doesn't happen. Rick Carlisle with those two guys would be kind of insane because Peterson's a ridiculous off-ball guy, and
Oh yeah.
which is a strength. I mean, a lot of guards are coming in, handling the ball and pounding the ball a lot, and this dude's has the ability to have elite off-ball scoring, which is rare, which is why I personally have him number one still. But I mean, Mark Stein also had a report today that some teams that could win the lottery are a little scared off by some of the Peterson stuff. So that's what makes this draft pretty crazy is this whole subplot happened. I don't remember a subplot like this in college basketball being talked about on a national scale. Like this whole Peterson thing is, I've made my thoughts on it. I feel like it's a little unfair to the kid personally because he could have shut it down a couple months ago after he made AJ DeBonsa look like a G League player on the same court for that one half. So
I think it is a pretty bizarre situation. You know, we haven't seen anything like this happen in recent memory, and that's why it's being talked about so much. But talent wise, it's hard to argue against that. You watch all these guys, and everyone is very talented in their own right, but no one more so than Darren Peterson. He can do it on ball, off ball, on defense. He's just like the total package. And so if he's healthy, I don't see another player getting picked. But that being said, NBA front offices, not all of them, but a lot of them are pretty risk averse, and sometimes they overthink these things. And it wouldn't surprise me if someone else like AJ DeBonsa or Cam Boozer got picked number one. Like it could get to a point where teams are just like, I don't know what this means for his NBA career, but I don't want to deal with it, and he falls down the draft board and probably should have gone number one. But that's a fascinating subplot for sure.
he's finished. I think he's finished every game since the whole first take discourse happened, and I don't know if that would necessarily have happened if that discourse didn't happen. So I almost feel like he's been bullied into it, but I think he's clearly dealing with something. If you just watch the high school stuff compared to now, like he just doesn't look like the same explosive stuff, which is more concerning to me than like the work ethic or does he like basketball questions that some people have gotten. I want to know if, I mean, everyone has to get medicals done now at the combine, so I'm curious how the medicals go because that would be the only reason I wouldn't take him first personally. But I mean, although all three of those guys are sick, like any franchise would be lucky to have him. And same thing with Caleb Wilson at the fourth spot.
But is there a reason why there's not like a concrete injury designation for him? Like, there's been a lot of speculation as to what it is, but why isn't there just like an official injury designation for him?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I think that's
I
really
personally
what's
think he's
been. Yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe the camp and maybe the school have kind of worked. I mean, I'm just guessing. I don't have any intel or anything. I'm just guessing like DP's camp and the school have kind of agreed to kind of hide like what it might be or anything like that. He did have like a hamstring injury early on this season, and I don't know if he fully healed from it. The cramping stuff's interesting. I don't know what's going on there either. So I understand why NBA teams have paused and there's a lot of questions and all that, but that's why the combine it's going to be super important this year with the medicals and the measurements of guys like Acuff and Kingston to see how tall they are because I don't think they're as tall as they're listed and stuff like that. So, combine will actually be fun, I guess.
I guess. No, I think it will be. I do think we're in store for at least one surprise in the top 10 of this draft. I don't know what it is, but I just have a feeling.
Nate Ament is the guy that we need like someone to reach on. I'm hoping that's the surprise because if the Mavericks don't get lottery luck and he pushes other guys down, that's the dream.
I mean, yeah,
And
it's kind of
Riccardi,
like from a couple years ago, like Bilal Coulibaly kind of shot up the draft boards there towards the end of the draft and ended up being the sixth pick, I think, or the eighth
I
pick.
think eighth.
Yeah, the eighth pick. So I don't think, coming into the season, he was projected to be a top 10 pick. But I guess the Wizards just fell in love with him as the draft got closer. And so, yeah, maybe there's a team that does the same thing with Nate Ament, which would open up, the other pool of players to another team that's picking in the top 10. So it's very fascinating. I think we've only begun to start discussing the draft. There's going to be a lot more to talk about it. Okay, well, I think that's a good ending point. Vinay, Fazal, any closing thoughts?
Sorry to the Mavs organization
I mean, yeah,
for absolutely nothing.
they'll get on board with it eventually. I mean, look, we don't mean to be negative. Like, that's the thing. Like, we don't want to be in this situation. We don't want to be losing games, but it is what it is. But like I said, when the Mavericks are winning again, I think everyone, including the Mavericks organization, is going to be a lot happier than what they are right now. I think everyone in that organization, and I'm not saying they're right about it, but I can just empathize with them. Like, they're probably just on defensive mode right now. There's just been so much blowback and backlash from the community, and 100% rightfully so. But as an employee of that organization, I have to imagine that they are on a bit of defense at this point, because I think it's tiresome to deal with that on a daily basis. But that's all I got to say on that. Mavs organization, we still love you. We're there to come to practice whenever you want us to.
Never gonna happen.
It will happen.
Yeah, I mean, I know we were talking crazy on February 2nd, 2025, and that crazy talk persisted for quite a while, but I'm just saying, like, don't do anything like on the level of trading Luka ever again, and we probably won't be talking that crazily ever again, but things happen, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was an unprecedented situation. Deep down inside, I know they understand why people are negative. I think they're just hoping that the storm passes. They're sticking their heads in the sand. But
Here was the argument I actually heard from that employee. They were saying, if you're running a Mavs page, why don't you just support the team that's currently on the floor? But I mean, there's pages out there on Twitter like that. Like, it's not necessarily us. I'm not saying we're always right about stuff, but I feel like we just say what our truth is and what we think is going to happen. I feel like before the 2024 finals run, we were the first to say the June stuff. Like, after we saw PJ and Gafford play, I mean, we were all pretty optimistic about what that team could do that year, when I don't think the Mavericks were favored in a single one of their playoff series that entire playoff run. Maybe the Clippers, because Kawhi was dealing with stuff. But other than that, I mean, and it wasn't just like stuff we didn't believe. Like, we believed it. Like, we have to like say what we believe. We're not gonna just be get the pom poms out and cheerlead when the team isn't good. Like, we've watched basketball long enough. None of us have played at the NBA level, but we know what we're talking about for the most part. So sometimes we're wrong. Sometimes Jay's wrong.
a lot of
But
times
happens.
I'm wrong. But yeah, I mean, as Dallas Mavericks basketball fans, we know the connection that the team has with the city, the connection that Dirk had with the city, that Luka had with the city. It's just hard to ignore that. And when you break that bond and break that trust, there's going to be consequences that come with that. The Mavericks brand has been built on loyalty. When you destroy that brand, it's going to come with some backlash, and people are going to take some time to accept the new reality. It's not unreasonable to expect. And so, yeah, we'd love to be a team like the Lakers or whatever, that regardless of who's on the team, the expectation is to win. But that's just not how Mavericks history has gone. And that's why our fandom has been framed in this loyalty era, which is now over. But okay, that's okay. But as that era has changed, so has our fandom. But that doesn't mean we're going to stop talking about the team. It just means we're going to be more realistic. But at the same time, you give us a reason to be delusional, I'll be the first in line to be delusional. Like, I want to convince myself that this team is going to win a championship sooner than later. I want to. Just give me the confidence to do so. I'll be right there.
Amen.
All right. And
Thompson
with that,
should not get.
yeah.
You
No.
cut me off. Go ahead.
I
Go
was
ahead, I
go-
can't.
I was going to end the episode, but I ruined your punchline.
Go ahead. No, it's okay. You just ruined the whole night, the evening, and the rest of the week for me. But go ahead. Go ahead, close us off.
I'm beginning to think that the Mavs organization might be onto something. You are too negative.
Kick rocks.
No, I'm sorry for cutting you off. I was trying to end on an emphatic note, but I didn't see the punchline coming. But look, guys, thanks for joining me on this episode of the Mavs Film Room podcast. We'll be back maybe later this week or at least next week to talk about whatever happens this week in Mavs basketball. Hopefully some more losses follow. Hopefully the Pelicans can get some wins here in the next couple weeks. But until then, we'll be seeing what happens. I'll say go Mavs in the context of let's get a great draft pick. Vinay Fazal, thanks again. Thanks everyone who tuned in. Appreciate y'all's support as always. Take care and see you on the next one.